What's the latest in the Israel-Hamas war? For the second time in history, Iran fired a barrage of hundreds of missiles at Israel. The vast majority were intercepted by Israel, the United States, and reportedly other regional actors as well. Israel has vowed harsh retaliation and is rumored to be planning an attack against Iran's nuclear facilities or oil rigs. Meanwhile, the ground invasion of Lebanon is expanding, and 7 Israelis were killed as a result of a Palestinian shooting attack in Tel-Aviv Jaffa. I'm Alon Burstein. Let's dive deep into the latest on the Israel-Hamas war. On day 361 to the war, the main focus is on Iran's missile attack against Israel. At around 7:30 p.m. local time, Iran launched 2 barrages of missiles at Israel, targeting a wide range of sites throughout the entire country. Iran later put out a statement stating that the attack constitutes a retaliation for the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, the former leader of Hamas, who was assassinated in Tehran on July 31st, for the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, the former leader of Hezbollah that occurred this past weekend, and for the death of Abbas Niloufar-Shan, the brigadier general of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, who was also killed alongside Hassan Nasrallah this past weekend. The attack, which is the second time in history that Iran has attacked Israel directly after its previous missile attack in April this year, constituted several hundred ballistic missiles, which are exponentially faster than cruise missiles or the drones that were used in April, and in this attack were each armed with between 700 kilos and 1 ton of explosive material. According to Iran, 400 ballistic missiles were fired, with the country issuing a statement stating that several IDF bases and other targets in Israel were hit throughout the attacks. In Israel, in turn, it was published that a total of 180 missiles were fired towards the country, and that the vast majority of them were intercepted by both Israel and the United States. France later issued a statement that the country also activated its forces in the Middle East against this threat, implying that it either participated in the interceptions or perhaps lent logistical support in the form of assisting with radar surveillance or something that helped these interceptions. And CNN also reported that Jordanian Air Force participated in the interceptions as well. As a reminder, in the attack that occurred in April, several different regional countries participated in the interceptions, with Jordan being one of the only ones that publicly said that it participated in those interceptions in April. Today, there was no official statement made by Jordan, at least thus far. However, it was reported in CNN that they did participate in intercepting those missiles. Shortly after the initial reports of the launches, there were some initial reports of either missile strikes or detonation of fragments from interceptions in the areas of northern Tel Aviv in Israel, as well as several parts in southern Israel, and one Palestinian in the West Bank in the town of Jericho was reportedly killed, again, either from a missile strike landing there or from detonations resulting from interceptions and fragments that came crashing down to the ground. With regards to Israel's impending retaliation, Wall Street Journal reported today that intelligence of Iran's planned attack resulted from Iran informing neighboring Arab countries of the intended missile strikes prior to their launching. According to the report, Israel in turn sent messages back to Iran through those same actors, warning that the country will retaliate directly if it is in fact attacked. Again, all this happened prior to the actual launching of those missiles. After the attack, the IDF issued a statement stating that the military intends to carry out substantial attacks throughout the Middle East already in the near future. The wording of that statement may be significant. It is possible that the IDF is planning on carrying out attacks against pro-Iranian militias throughout the Middle East rather than immediately launching its attack against Iran directly. Possibly this will be a preamble to an attack against Iran itself. In a moment of analysis, I will say that it is noteworthy that historically, one of the main mechanisms that Iran has built in order to ensure that it is not attacked directly is the array of militias that it has throughout the Middle East that can be activated at any point. Hezbollah is by far the most central of those different militias, the most well-armed, and the one that answers directly to Iran. In light of the recent IDF successes against Hezbollah and the ongoing activity in Lebanon, it has been speculated that Israel may use this opportunity to attack Iran's nuclear facilities themselves, and possibly will carry out another attack on regional militias prior to any such activity in order to ensure that those other militias in Iraq, Syria, other areas, maybe in Yemen, cannot be activated in retaliation to Israel's attack against Iran's nuclear facilities or oil rigs. Either way, in Israel, it was reported that the cabinet has met to discuss the possible retaliations. Some decisions were made, and meetings are still constantly occurring. We may see that retaliation in the coming days. However, I remind everyone that it is the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah, New Year's, starting on Wednesday evening. This may have an impact on when Israel does carry out the attack, or it may not. Remains to be seen. In other news, and while I'm not going to get into this in great detail, several other incidents did occur today. In the Jaffa neighborhood of Tel Aviv, two Palestinians carried out a shooting attack, opening fire on civilians near a metro station. 7 Israelis were reported killed, and the 2 attackers were also shot dead. The attackers were reportedly from the West Bank city of Hebron, and while it has been rumored that they are affiliated with Hamas, the group itself did not put out any claim of responsibility for the attack thus far. It was also reported in the last several hours that the IDF is carrying out raids in Hebron, trying to target any possible associates of those 2 attackers. We may find out more about that in the coming days. In addition, the IDF has continued to expand its operation in Lebanon, with major airstrikes being reported throughout Beirut and in other parts of the country. Perhaps more importantly, however, is the fact that the IDF issued an unusually large evacuation order earlier this evening, calling upon Lebanese civilians in a series of over 30 villages to evacuate from the area in anticipation of an IDF invasion. The majority of these are still within what is considered southern Lebanon. However, the issuing of so many evacuation orders indicate the substantial expansion that the IDF plans for its activity in the area, matching a few rumors that were published throughout the day that the Israeli military expects its operation in Lebanon to last at least several weeks. And lastly, several people have asked me recently about the potential for a hostage deal and a possible truce in the Gaza Strip. On that front, I can only update that there actually is no news. There are no active negotiations between the sides for several weeks already. As a reminder, there remain 101 hostages in the Gaza Strip that are now held there for nearly a year. 35 of these have been officially declared dead by the IDF. However, estimates suggest that Israel believes that only half or less than half of the hostages remain alive. I will say that leading up to October 7th, I plan to publish updated videos summarizing the hostage situation alongside other videos that focus on covering different facets of the war, summarizing this past year of the Israel-Hamas War. Those are my highlights from the past 24 hours. Obviously, the biggest news relating to Iran's attack against Israel and the impeding Israeli retaliation. If you find these reports informative, please do remember to hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, send these out to anyone who you think might be interested in the war or what is going on more broadly within the context of the Middle East. I'm Alon Burstein. I'm a visiting assistant professor and Israel Institute fellow in the Department of Political Science at Tufts University. Thanks for watching.